A dark jar of compost liquid can make cracked soil look alive for a few minutes. Pour it on, and the surface turns almost black. That is the trick. The bed looks changed before it has actually changed. By the next hot afternoon, if nothing underneath can hold that moisture or feed the process, the same soil can go pale, tight, and thirsty again. Old gardeners did not pour this on soil because it was magic. They used it because tired soil needs moisture, food, and biology arriving at the same time. But that is also why this old method gets misunderstood. Some gardeners treat compost liquid like a cure. They pour it over a dead-looking bed and expect the soil to wake up from the liquid alone. Then nothing much happens. The surface darkens, the smell is earthy for a moment, the bed looks richer, and a week later the plants are still yellow, the soil still crusts, and water still runs sideways instead of soaking in. That does not mean the old method was useless. It means the method was incomplete. A tired soil is not just dry. It is not just hungry. It is not just missing microbes or compost or fertilizer. In many backyard beds, tired soil is soil that has stopped cycling what it receives. Water comes in, but it does not stay evenly. Organic matter gets added, but it sits on top or disappears too fast. Fertilizer goes in, but the plant response is weak. The bed may still grow weeds. It may still look like dirt, but it no longer behaves like a working soil. That is the difference old gardeners were trying to fix. When they used dark compost liquid, they were not trying to replace compost. They were trying to start contact. They were taking finished compost, washing some of its soluble goodness and fine particles into water, and using that liquid to carry moisture and a little biological activity into dry, stubborn ground. The liquid was not the whole meal. It was the first knock on the door. The invisible mistake is thinking the knock is the house. This is where most gardeners get misled. They see the dark color and assume the liquid is the power. But the color is only the signal. A jar of compost liquid can help wet a surface, move fine organic material into small cracks, and encourage the upper layer to begin working again. But if that soil has no sponge, no cover, no fresh organic matter, and no steady moisture afterward, the liquid has nowhere to live. A tired bed needs a place for the process to continue. Think about what happens when dry soil is left bare. The sun hits it directly. The surface seals. Water lands hard, then runs off or sinks through uneven channels. The top half-inch may turn dark when watered, but 2 inches down the soil can still be dusty. Roots sit in a strange world where the gardener is watering often, but the bed keeps swinging between too wet and too dry. That sounds like a water problem, but it usually starts lower. The soil is missing the structure that slows water down and the organic matter that helps hold it. That is why pouring more liquid on top can be disappointing. The liquid can enter for a moment, but the bed cannot keep it. The fix is not to add more. It is to change what the soil can hold. That is where compost liquid becomes useful again, but only in its proper role. A safer backyard version begins with finished compost, not raw manure, not kitchen scraps, not a rotten bucket, and not anything that smells sour, putrid, or like sewage. Finished compost should smell earthy. It should look dark and crumbly. If the material is still slimy, hot, sharp-smelling, or full of recognizable food waste, it is not the right material for this job. The old-fashioned version is closer to a compost extract than a miracle brew. Put a few shovels of finished compost into a bucket of water, stir it well, let it sit briefly, stir again, and strain out the heavy pieces if you need to use a watering can. You are looking for a liquid closer to weak coffee than black paint. Stronger is not automatically better. A thick, stagnant, overbrewed liquid can create more problems than it solves, especially around food crops. And this is important. Do not turn it into a science project with sugar, molasses, raw manure, and a sealed bucket sitting for days. That may sound more powerful, but in a backyard setting it can become risky and foul very quickly. If it smells bad, do not convince yourself it is strong. Bad smell is a warning. The best use is simple. Apply it to the soil, not as a leaf spray. Use it where the bed is tired, crusted, pale, or slow to take water. Keep it away from leaves you are about to harvest. If plants are already growing, pour it between the rows or around the root zone. Then rinse any accidental splash off edible leaves with clean water. But the liquid comes second, not first. Before using it, loosen the top crust gently with your fingers, a hand fork, or the edge of a hoe. You are not digging deep. You are only breaking the sealed surface so water has a way in. Then, moisten the bed lightly with plain water. This matters more than people think. Bone-dry soil can reject liquid, beat it up, or send it down cracks. A slightly damp surface receives the compost liquid more evenly. Then add the liquid slowly. Do not flood the bed. Let it soak. In a small raised bed, 1 bucket of diluted compost liquid can be plenty for a first pass. The goal is not to drown the soil. The goal is to moisten the upper few inches and bring the compost contact into the zone where roots, mulch, and soil life can meet. Then comes the part that makes the method work. Add a thin layer of finished compost, leaf mold, aged shredded leaves, or another clean organic material over the surface. It does not need to be deep. Even half an inch of finished compost or an inch of shredded leaves can change what happens next. After that, cover the bed with mulch. Straw, shredded leaves, grass clippings used thinly, or aged wood chips around established plants can all help protect the surface. This is the difference between a dark stain and a working bed. Without the organic layer, the compost liquid is like pouring tea onto a hot sidewalk. It darkens the surface, then disappears. With the organic layer, the liquid helps pull moisture and fine compost contact into a place that can stay damp longer. The mulch shades it. The compost feeds it. The soil beneath gets a chance to soften instead of sealing again by afternoon. Some gardeners swear by compost tea. Others say it does nothing. The strange part is, both can be right. If someone pours a clean, mild compost liquid onto a mulched bed with organic matter already in place, it may help that bed respond better. If someone pours the same liquid onto bare, compacted, sun-baked dirt and walks away, it may do almost nothing. The liquid was never meant to carry the whole system by itself. Once you see it this way, the symptom makes sense. If your bed darkens when watered but turns pale and hard a few hours later, the issue is not just lack of water. The surface is not protected, and the soil cannot hold moisture evenly. Compost liquid may help start the repair, but mulch and organic matter have to keep it going. If water puddles on top, then suddenly vanishes down cracks. The bed may have channels instead of a steady sponge. A slow application of compost liquid after light pre-watering can help wet the upper layer more evenly. But the longer fix is repeated organic cover and gentle surface repair. If plants look hungry even after feeding, the problem may not be that you use too little fertilizer. The bed may not be cycling moisture and organic material well enough for roots to take advantage of what is there. Compost liquid can support that process, but it does not replace balanced fertility, compost, or good watering. There is a simple test before you start. Push one finger 2 inches into the bed before watering. If the top is dark but the soil below is dry and powdery, the bed is only pretending to be moist. Pour a cup of water on one bare spot and watch. If it beads, runs sideways, or drops through one crack instead of soaking evenly, the surface needs help. After you use the compost liquid with compost and mulch, test again a few days later. The goal is not instant richness. The goal is a top layer that accepts water more calmly and stays evenly damp longer. There is another test that matters just as much. Smell. Good compost liquid should smell earthy and mild. If it smells rotten, sour, swampy, or like a trash can, do not use it on vegetable beds. A tired soil does not need a bucket of bad biology poured over it. It needs clean organic matter, steady moisture, and oxygen. Old gardeners understood that even if they did not explain it in modern words. A living bed should not smell dead. The timing matters too. Use this method when the bed is not under extreme heat stress, if possible. Early morning is better than the hottest part of the day. spring bed preparation, early summer, recovery, and post-harvest rebuilding are good moments. If the bed is already planted, go gentle. Do not soak the crown of the plant. Do not splash harvest leaves. Do not keep applying liquid every few days because the plants still look weak. More liquid is not the same as more recovery. A practical rhythm is slower. Repair the surface, apply the mild compost liquid, add compost or shredded organic matter, cover with mulch, and keep the bed consistently damp for the next week. Not soggy, not flooded. Just damp enough that the upper soil does not keep dying back into a crust. For sandy soil, the method may need lighter but more regular organic feeding, because water passes through quickly. Use finer compost, leaf mold, or thin layers of grass clippings under mulch, and do not expect one application to change the bed. For heavy clay, avoid thick, wet mats. Use compost and shredded leaves to protect the surface, and apply liquid slowly so it does not just sit in puddles. For raised beds that have gone tired after several seasons, this method works best as part of rebuilding the top layer, not as a replacement for adding compost. The most common mistake is using the liquid because it feels easier than the real work. A jar is simple. A bed is a system. The jar can be made in a day. The bed changes through repeated contact. Moisture touching organic matter touching soil, roots moving through softened spaces, and mulch keeping the whole thing from drying out every afternoon. That is why the old method survived. Not because compost liquid was a magic potion, because it fit into a rhythm that made sense. Compost pile in the back, water in a bucket, dark liquid poured into a tired bed, leaves or straw placed over the top. Moisture held long enough for the soil to begin acting like soil again. The payoff is not dramatic in the way people want it to be. You may not see a dead bed transform overnight. What you can look for is quieter and more useful. The soil takes water without fighting it. The surface stays darker longer after watering. The crust breaks more easily. Small roots move into the upper layer instead of sitting in a dry shell. Later compost seems to disappear into the bed instead of lying there like decoration. Plants may still need proper feeding, sun, spacing, and time, but the bed stops behaving like every input is wasted. That is when the compost liquid has done its job. Not because it fed everything by itself. Not because it carried some secret that no one else knows. It helped start a chain. It brought moisture and compost contact into tired soil, and then the organic layer kept that chain alive. So when you see that dark jar next to cracked soil, do not see a bottle of resurrection. See a starter. See a way to begin contact again. See a reminder that soil does not wake up because one liquid touches it. Soil wakes up when water, food, air, cover, and time begin working in the same place. Dead soil does not wake up from a bottle. It wakes up when the whole bed starts feeding itself again.